One of my favorite things as a kid was playing Super Smash Bros, but it wasn't just the fighting with friends and family that was fun, it was the bonus modes we got too. The original Smash Bros on Nintendo 64 had break the targets, board the platforms, and race to the finish. Super Smash Bros. Melee switched things up, keeping the target mode and race to the finish was expanded to include multiple exits, which was cool, and it even included this quick grab the trophies minigame. And it also included the ever fun home run contest and multi-man melee as well. You could even do a gacha roll for trophies, but Melee started the precedent of removing things. Board the platforms was nowhere to be found, which always bummed me out. It was one of my favorite modes in the original game. It was simple and fun, but it actually helped me get better with characters that I didn't usually play as too. When we got to Brawl, they brought back the stadium with targets, home run, and multi-man, and even a new boss mode, which is pretty sweet. And here's where targets began to change though. No longer were stages unique to characters, but instead there were 5 stages ranging from easy to difficult. Some stages could be harder for some characters, and the harder it got, the smaller the targets would become, starting off as quite large and then going back to what Smashers were familiar with. That was more or less the final nail in the coffin for targets, as they more or less replaced it with an Angry Birds-like Target Smasher game. And then we got Smash Ultimate, which gave up on targets completely, which was sad. They died a quiet death. A staple, gone. So why are Break the Targets so much fun? Well, let's go take a look back at 2 games, Super Smash Bros. And Super Smash Bros. Melee. These feature unique target stages for each character, with Melee having 26 and the original having 12. So looking at Smash 64 first, I love the way they did these levels. I'm not sure if it was on purpose or not, but if you look at the Mario stage for example, it has a very construction site-like feel, most likely a callback to Donkey Kong. Something you might not see nowadays, but it was very much a big part of Mario's lore back in the day. Link's looks like something that you might see in a Zelda game. I'm not exactly sure and I can't put my finger on it, but I just really think it matches him well. And here's where I learned the ins and outs of the bombs and the boomerang, really helping me get used to Link's arsenal. Fox's and Samus's look futuristic with a space aesthetic. Samus though has to rely on her cannon and down special bombs to help you clear the stage. In total there's about 4 or 5 patterns that the characters share, with layouts that require you to learn their ins and outs to proceed. And it's not just target mode, but we got board the platforms too. These can be tough and even tougher than breaking the targets. If you're a first timer to the game, you might think that Pikachu's board the platforms is easy until you get to the end, and here's where you'll be tested. But it's the best testing ground to learn his up special. Or even with Jigglypuff. You think it might be easy to get to the last platform? Go ahead, try it. Kirby too might seem like a character with tons of free roaming abilities like Jigglypuff, but landing on these spots, or at least attempting to, will put the pink Super Warrior through his paces. You have to really stretch out those jumps till the very end. Even playing around with Mario and Luigi can be pretty tough, especially at the end of their platform levels where you're going to have to try to jump on smaller, thinner platforms. Then we have Super Smash Bros. Melee. Gone is that kind of slightly cheerful and upbeat song of Smash 64. In is a fast-paced, heavy hitter that gets you right in the mood. There's more variety here than before, with each character more or less getting their own unique theme or color scheme. Luigi, for example, has the same aesthetic as Mario. The scaffolding is green, and he has a nice little GameCube in the middle. It's a small change, but it's nice to see. Young Link, for example, has a forest motif, which has gotta be an homage to The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time's Kokiri Forest, and Zelda has a more royal, castle-like stage, similar to Bowser actually. Captain Falcon was always cool to me because it just, well, it looks cool and futuristic with the Go sign and the dolphins too, an obvious nod to the GameCube codename. Yoshi's looks like they took design cues from Yoshi's Story with the cardboard cutout clouds, and the Pokemon all have sort of this Pokemon Stadium level aesthetic, with Pikachu having a pretty cool one in my opinion. Going back to Young Link, here's where I learned that he had a wall jump, since I had no idea how to get up here originally. Of course, it's not always useful in the game, but it comes in handy when you need it. And on top of that, you have to master his boomerang and arrows too. And come on, ice climbers are just pure perfection. You play through an entire recreation of an ice climbers level from the NES days, and remember, it was their first appearance in decades, so this stage was a fantastic touch. Or even Mr. Game & Watch, having him set in a real Game & Watch, it's awesome. I could gush about all of the levels all day, but I think you get the point. Try them out for yourself if you haven't played the games or haven't played them in a while. It might seem a bit easy, but keep trying to beat your best time and you'll find it gets trickier and trickier from there. I still make mistakes on them all the time even now, especially on Captain Falcon or Yoshi's levels. Break the Targets and by extension Board the Platforms were fun training levels, and they really did a great job at helping you get accustomed to the characters in the game. You got these cool unique stages with these callbacks to the characters' histories. Now I can see why they would find putting these stages in the game more and more difficult, especially given that the character roster has just gone out of control. There's tons of characters in these games, with Smash Ultimate's roster capping off at 89 fighters. Can you imagine 89 stages? Well, actually, yes, I can, and I would love it. It would be tough to add them in, and Smash is already packed to the brim with content, but it's one feature I'd love to see back, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. They're a lot of fun, and it's one of the modes I keep coming back to all of these years later.